Jack the Ripper. Even if you don't know who he is, there's a chance you've heard the name. To this day, his real identity remains unresolved, making him a prime target for various theories and speculations. It's been twisted around in popular culture at this point, transcending history and the world. Frogwares decided to give their take on the Ripper's identity with this game, which is considered the last classic Holmes game, at least according to how the soundtracks are divided. It retains a lot from The Awakened and Nemesis, but it does stand out from those two in very profound ways. I won't be repeating much about Awakened and Nemesis, so if you haven't seen my reviews on the games, please do. We're moving on to the premise. We start out with Holmes facing his usual enemy, boredom.
You are right, Watson, but this evening is never ending, and I have nothing to do but make smoke rings. A more amusing pastime would suit better, but my doctor is against it.
It then transitions to witnessing a murder through the Ripper's eyes. At this point, Jack is a new murderer on the streets, not even bearing the name until later in the game. Holmes finds the events intriguing, so he and Watson follow the trail of cadavers to prevent Jack from making any more. For presentation, the art direction is simply spectacular. Much like Nemesis, it has a consistent tone and is established in the opening shot. Instead of Baker Street, we are flying through the streets of Whitechapel. It's barely lit with muted colors, and the skies and fog are a shade of gray or black. Already we know that Whitechapel is not a place anyone wants to be, but are either forced to live there or frequented for the workers. This depressing sight is even more haunting when you visit. Homeless people are sleeping on the street. There's a rundown boarding house run by Barnes' long-lost twin. Not to mention a hospital that only has the resources to do the bare minimum of treatment. There are fewer campy moments in this game compared to the previous ones. Even the characters with brevity have dark pasts. Well, except for Danny, the large lady Holmes could peep at in Crimes and Punishments for some reason. But hey, you use cats on her for a distraction.
But what's all this racket? Calm down, come on, out, and make those cats shut up.
The music helps immerse you within the world, especially Whitechapel's themes. They're shallow and somber, but still melodic.
Batty Street.
Other places like the hospital are silent, but they serve to enhance the tone. A few areas have ambiance, but they come across as campy when they shouldn't. It's not like The Awakened, where it subverts the tone in funny ways. It's just forced in to try and recreate what The Awakened perfected. There are other places you will visit, such as the flat, a newspaper agency, a hospital ward, and a couple of neighborhoods outside Whitechapel. The first two kinda deviate from the serious tone, mostly in music.
You can go in, Mr.
Colonel Gordon, during the last adventure of the resident patient.
What ruins the immersion are the worker clones, primarily being Lucy's clones, which exist alongside a character named Lucy, who is not the Lucy from The Awakened, despite looking like her for whatever reason. Not to mention the voices that are hard to take seriously.
If you have the means, I can let you pass before everyone, but behind me.
The primary characters are about what you expect. David Riley as Watson has always been energetic and empathetic, and that's still the case here.
You know as well as I that our era is not a gentle one, and these women don't have much to look forward to. Some grace, if you would. Do not refuse them your compassion.
This game would also be the last for Rick Simmons Holmes, and that was probably for the best. I thought the lower energy and vocal range from Nemesis was a one-time thing, but no, Simmons is still like this, even when disguised.
Absolutely not. I've come on behalf of someone you know, who told me you have some explosive news about this American. In exchange, he has settled your bill on the kayaks.
I'm guessing that yelling during the last moments of The Awakened took a toll on his throat.
Look, Watson! The light is barely lit! We could do well to remember what McGrinty's man said before they slit his throat!
Whatever the case, I'm now questioning where Guy Harris was after the silver earring. Yet, what I have noticed is the lack of campy voices. There wasn't anyone I can enjoy making fun of, except for Danny and the Lucy clones. In fact, Danny's written to be the most unlikable character, and even she knows it.
He's in grieving, of course. Just a few weeks ago he lost his wife, and 3 months before that his girl, poor fella. He was in tatters, even came to cry on my shoulder, believe it or not.
Still, Holmes vs. Jack maintains a consistent vibe from beginning to end, even when it forces campiness at times. Gameplay just continues what Awakened started. First and third person views, helpful menus, point-and-click gameplay. The only superficial change is the addition of icons to match the murderous vibe. The puzzles are fine, and most of them are straightforward. Still, there are puzzles where your brain will bang itself on your skull to figure it out. This is the first puzzle, by the way. However, the most drastic change is our involvement in the case. Mystery of the Mummy was a puzzle fest, the silver earring was a mess, The Awakened was unraveling Dark Mage Watson's schemes, and Nemesis had us trying to play a fun game of catch-up. Well, color me surprised when we're given a deduction board. It's here where we assemble pieces of evidence to come up with conclusions, whether it be how the victim was killed or Jack's motivations.
Black magic?
I'm not terribly interested in the occult or black magic.
This is
Whether it's examining bodies, finding clues, taking testimonies, or even reconstructing crime scenes and timelines, you feel like you're contributing to the case. There weren't times where Holmes or Watson did something off screen or withheld info from the player, at least not until the end of the game. Everything they know is what you know. Following the silver earring, this was a fantastic feeling. My main gripe is that it takes us some time to get to the crime solving. In between those, you will be doing fetch quest after fetch quest after fetch quest after fetch quest.
If, in order to listen to us, this man imposes as condition that we find his pet cockroach, there will be another murder in Whitechapel today, Watson. Yours.
It's all an excuse to introduce characters or have us explore the world. This could have been done by following leads instead of helping a brothel owner kick a pimp out. Still, for the first time in the classic series, I was in the shoes of a detective. I was conducting an investigation to solve a mystery. Where the predecessors were letting you watch, Holmes vs. Jack invites us, saying, "Come, come my child, let us solve this conundrum together. I have a lot of padding, but you played my ancestors before me. You'll be fine." Then there's the mystery itself. How good is it, and does it follow a logical path? My answer is a resounding yes. It does take a lot of twists and turns, making us believe it's going one way, but as you progress, you'll find alibis or other evidence that eliminates the hypotheses. There are also elements that you probably couldn't get away with if you remade the game today. That's probably why Danny hasn't been found in the reboots. Still, there is one interesting detail about this whole game that I didn't realize until halfway through. Holmes vs. Jack is a prequel to every other game.
Thank you, Watson. Are you going out again?
I promised a new patient, Captain Stenick, I'd go round to examine him. He lives nearby. I may be back before you've had a chance to decipher this mysterious message.
Any man will be the same, and with less provocation. My servant has left in the middle of the night. Damned ungrateful after all I have done for him.
This eliminated Barnes since he doesn't have the Necronomicon yet. I guess they didn't want to name the game The Ripper's Return or something like that. Still, it can lead to confusion about the timeline. To clear things up, I created a timeline I'll post right here. Yeah, Mystery of the Mummy is the latest. Mummies were nothing to Holmes compared to eldritch beings. Another detail is how accurate the case is to the real Ripper murders. The devs even took into account how the killings were done and the names of the victims. Now I'll talk about the case itself. Here is where spoilers come into play, so if you just want my final thoughts, here's the timestamp. The case has Holmes and Watson trying to find out who exactly Jack is via the murders he's committed. There are a few commonalities between them. All of them thought Jack was a client before he smothered them to death and fished out their organs. This means we're dealing with somebody who is an expert in physiology. A few leads present themselves, someone who claimed to be Jack, a reporter who seemingly had scoops on the murder, and a buyer of personalized corpse business. All of these are false herrings though. It is an excellent demonstration of how the case itself was blown out of proportion by many sources. Ultimately, it comes down to 4 suspects. The first one is a man named Tumblety, whose name lingers from the start of the game. He was a vet from the Civil War, and the homosexual stereotype. He hates women so much, and yet is so obsessed with them, as shown with his mementos. Why is this game T for teen? Everything points to this man being the culprit, but he's not. Yet I really, really wish it was. At the very least, get the man a therapist. Our second suspect is this guy, Hardyman.
Beep beep.
He seems like a swell guy, just selling kebabs to get by. Yet, making those kebabs requires a small butcher setup, so all eyes are on him. When learning more about him, it turns out his daughter died of syphilis. To summarize, you get it in one of 2 common ways: getting intimate with someone who has it, or being born via an infected mother. It even makes you look like a ghoul from the Fallout games. This also means Hardyman has motive to take his grief out on the working girls. Some of the women are cut to the point of looking as if they have syphilis. Again, why is this game T for teen? However, one peculiar detail Hardyman points out does lead to another possibility.
Jews are allowed to eat offals?
Yes. They eat calves' kidneys, I think.
How big is that? A calf's kidney?
Well, that depends if it's fresh or if it's been marinated in brine or cooked.
When fresh, are they as big as a human kidney?
They would be, yes.
This is confirmed by one of the men called Solomonovich. I'm just calling them Solomon 1 and 2 for expediency's sake. Though it's highly unlikely they would do it, since they've helped us out quite a few times. Solomon 2 was a butcher, but left the life behind to pursue his passion for animal caretaking. Still, there is one other person it could be. A man named Joseph Chaim Levy. He's a butcher and a member of the Jewish community, specifically of the Jewish Imperial Club. We sneak in there, find his address, and find not him, but his wife at the door.
Do you know when he'll be in?
No idea. You know, he works at the butcher's and helps at the slaughterhouse. It often happens that he doesn't come in until early morning and then leaves right away.
Well, listen, as soon as your husband Joseph returns, tell him that...
My husband isn't called Joseph.
You aren't the wife of Joseph Chaim Levy?
No, of course not. I'm the wife of Jacob Levy. Mr. Chaim Levy used to live here with his parents, but he moved.
Mommy, who's the man that you are talking to?
But this poor child has syphilis. He carries the mark on his face.
Oh. Well, this is a twist. And wouldn't you know it, Jacob Levy is wearing the exact same clothing as our culprit in the intro. It turns out that Jacob went out some nights to get intimate with workers. Hence, he contracted the disease, which one of his children inherited. Yet, that's just the tip of the iceberg. While searching the Imperial Club, we find letters that show Jacob's outings as well as other crimes he had inflicted upon his community. He got so mad that he tried to give his Jewish brothers tainted meat so they could feel his pain. Yet, Joseph Levy must have either caught on or never trusted him in the first place, so Jacob couldn't enact his plan. This all actually aligns with the suspect in the real-life case, a Polish Jew who died when the Ripper murders were coming to a close. This could even serve as an explanation for what happens next. Holmes arrives with a squad led by Solomon 1 and... Wait, what is Holmes doing? Ah, he's seeing how insane Jacob is, and from his actions, he's on the verge of becoming a Fallout player with a cannibal perk. The game ends with Holmes deciding that Jacob's identity must never be revealed. The Jewish community will be safe from discrimination, and Jacob will die of his disease anyway. And with that, the classic Holmes games come to an end. I would go so far as to say it's my favorite in the classical lineup. The Awakened had a bizarre blend of camp and horror, whereas Nemesis maintained a consistent tone and featured a fantastic villain. Yet, Sherlock Holmes vs. Jack the Ripper was the game where you were solving a case. Yeah, a lot of fetch quests and puzzles made it feel monotonous. Yet, it also felt like Frogwares was on the right track, realizing that Holmes fans were playing Holmes games to solve Holmes mysteries, something that would be nearly perfected when Crimes and Punishments came out. If you had to play only one of the classic games, Holmes vs. Jack would be it. Thanks for watching. As usual, I will be deviating from Frogwares games so that my brain can have time to refresh. Still, please check out my other reviews and analyses if you haven't already. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to dispense justice from the shadows.